70,000 people are here, and Bob Dylan is the reason for it.
Inspired by their true story.
If anyone is going to hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
Are you a freak?
Hope so.
And starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. He defied everyone.
Turn it down!
Play loud!
To change everything.
Make some noise, Big D.
Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro. A complete unknown. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
All right. To the Misfit Nation. Imagine as a child you have dreams. We all did. And some of us still actually do. We always dream of doing something bigger and better and getting away from the situation that we're in. When you voice what your dream is to a person you see as a leader or an influence in your life and they discount it, telling you can't do it, it will either crush you to your core or push you to greatness. Our next guest, a true misfit, was given this challenge and he accepted it. He has done great things since this challenge in just a short period of time. So without further ado, let's get Tarick Walton on here. Tarick Walton from the T. Walton Group. How are you?
I am doing well, Richard. Thank you so much for having me on this amazing show, man. Looking forward to the conversations.
Thanks for reaching out to us through our website. It's glad to see that's actually working now, and reaching out to a fellow alum from Georgetown, actually. So I'm glad to have you on the show.
I did not know that. Thank you.
Yes, I graduated with my master's in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. So I didn't get to walk across stage or anything, but I still have my diploma behind me here.
There we go, man. What's it? A Hoya Pride, man.
That's right. Hoya Saxa.
Hoya Saxa, that's right.
So I want you to take a minute or two to tell us a little bit about your background and introduce yourself to the audience.
So, yeah, let me see if I can introduce myself as a misfit. So background, born and raised for 18 years in Jamaica, and have always been a huge proponent, advocate, whatever word you want to put on it, for education. I grew up around education my entire life. My mom is a teacher for over 45 years.
Wow.
Her family is a family of teachers. 8 of her 9 siblings are teachers. Just
Wow.
to give you a little bit of greater perspective. So I grew up in that environment for 18 years. And the specific field that I loved, and this is where I think I'm a misfit, is I've always loved STEM, the sciences, but also the arts. So I would, from Monday through Friday, I would always be enjoying, classes in math, science, all of, those technical STEM related fields. But then on the weekends, whether it's for church or just my personal passions, I loved music, so I would always be singing on the choir, playing different types of eclectic, unique music, not just the quintessential Bob Marley as a Jamaican, but some cool, eclectic types, Peeba Bryson, Righteous Brothers, whatever name, that as long as it's good music, I love it. And so, yeah, I grew up with that dual mindset and left Jamaica at 18 years to attend college. I left the warm Jamaica to good old Cambridge, Massachusetts, at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. And, it was just a transformation going from warm to cold, from, what is home versus foreign. And it's the complete, 180. But I think that's the beauty about the misfit perspective, where when you're thrown into a different environment, you're able to survive and grow. So after graduating from MIT with a degree in civil engineering, worked for a few years before business school. And since business school at Georgetown, I've been working at a phenomenal Fortune 500 manufacturing firm called Emerson. And at the same time, I'm pursuing my passions in nonprofit and education. So that's my brief introduction to my whole life.
It's outstanding. And you had no choice but to love education with that many educators in your family, and knowing that if you got something wrong, I'm sure mom or any of her siblings would be right there to help you push you in the right direction.
You hit the nail on the head there, Richard. It's getting used to correction or advice, but it's growing throughout that process, man. Absolutely, it's been a fun experience.
And I like that you're totally rounded, where you have your science, your technology, but you also include your arts in there, like the music and your love of a diverse amount of music, not just like you said, not the traditional, everyone in Jamaica loves Bob Marley, but there's a lot of music that plays in Jamaica and the world. And I think you hit it all just in the names you said in your introduction there.
There we go, man. There we go. I think it's, if there's one thing that you'll hear me say repeatedly here, Richard, it's balance. So whether it's your left or your right, whether you're Democratic versus Republican, whether you are, liberal versus conservative, whether you're STEM versus the arts, balance is key. And that's my mission in life, finding that balance.
And I think you showed resilience just by going from the beautiful tropical island of Jamaica and then, like you said, going to Cambridge, Massachusetts. Hopefully it was in the fall, so it wasn't a complete shock. It wasn't minus something degrees at the time. So you had a chance to buy a nice jacket and figured it out. But I mean, that was resilience right there, going from, like you said, home to basically a foreign land.
Exactly there, Richard. It's the number one word there is a foreign land. And what was really powerful for me throughout that experience was embracing it with a smile. If you meet any Jamaican, I hope that all Jamaicans do this, especially with today being National Heroes Day in Jamaica. We always have the mentality of smiling regardless of the situation. So whether things are tough, whether things are dismal, it's finding that ray of hope, finding that smile. And I think that was my mentality when leaving Jamaica. Yes, it was leaving everything that I knew about, leaving home, leaving family. I remember the first day when my door was shut and my mom and my aunt, who were both teachers, they left the dorm room to drive back to the airport. And, we weren't wealthy. We were humble, poor, not necessarily poor, but we were, hardworking, middle income Jamaicans. And when they closed that door and I realized that all of this is ahead of me, the cold, I felt the temperature, I felt the breeze coming on, and the culture was different. Everything around me was different. The accents were different, and it's embracing that change with a smile that I think really made that difference for me personally. Just seeing the best out of it.
That's outstanding. That's a great way to have that look at the smile and going through it. And I mean, you have an accent, obviously, being from Jamaica, but then the people in Massachusetts, it's hard to understand them. And I'm from the Northeast. And you go up there and speak to them, and sometimes that's like I need a translator because I don't know what they're saying sometimes. So I just kind of go with what they're saying and what emotions are to try to figure it out. So I'm sure that was a little bit of a culture climb for you as well.
You hit the nail on the head, man. You hit the nail on the head. And, with MIT being a very diverse environment, I remember my first math TA, tutorial assistant, and I think he was from, a strong Eastern European accent. So you can hear that accent, and quite frankly, I didn't fully understand. Being so new to that foreign environment, but that's where the beauty is. When I look back, with all honesty here, Richard, when I look back to those situations, the quote that I always remember that resonates with me was from Bob Marley's song, where he said, "In this great future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears."
There you go.
And it resonates with me to this very day, because it's moments like those where, yes, it may have felt like a tearful experience. It's tough, it's painful, but those are the moments that really prepare you for another level. It prepares you for growth. It prepares you for, any kinds of challenges. So those are actually the good moments when you look back in your life. So you can't forget your past, so dry your tears.
Exactly. And when my daughter was little, probably on 3 years old, she was crying one time, and I told her to stop crying because tears only make your face wet. And since that day, she'd always say that. And when she was about to graduate high school, she had to make a picture of her parents or something, like a collage, I guess it's called. And on it, she put a picture of me and put a quote, "Tears just make your face wet."
Wow.
So it resonated with her for, I guess that's 15 years. And she still says it now. And she's 25 today, actually. So
pretty amazing, man. I'll remember that one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I felt that went right along with your quote as well. So you got to live knowing what you've done in the past, but always moving forward and having that resilient mindset. And I believe I was reading in your bio or in your email from you, saying that someone told you wouldn't make it into MIT, and you basically took that as challenge accepted. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely there, Richard. I took it as a challenge accepted, because there are two ways to live your life, and this was a beautiful quote from Einstein, and he said there are two ways to live your life. One is if nothing is a miracle, everything is just bland, or the alternative is that everything is a miracle. And I think it's with that mindset, going back to the teacher who was, discouraging me at the time, I didn't know it then, but in my mind, I wanted to get the lotto, because I remember that very same teacher said, it's like hitting the lotto to get through to a school like MIT. Don't waste your time to even apply.
Wow.
And I just took that as, it's he may say it, but it's not for my life. That's not for my life. And I requested that he wrote a recommendation. So it was really cool, not to shove it in somebody's face, but to return with the admissions. And the first thing that he said to me as the teacher, saying that you did it. And I was
That's
wrong.
outstanding.
Yeah, man. That was so powerful. And as I said, I didn't take it as an opportunity for gloat, because that's the least important thing. But more importantly, that teacher has the belief that there are other students, that there are other, talented young minds out there that he can continue to shape. and he shaped my perspective in a good way. Maybe it was done in a the not the ideal approach that we would all think of, but no matter what, he still shaped my outlook, which guided the book on how I wrote the book. So I'm always grateful for these opportunities, whether we think of them as good or bad.
And it's always a good interaction to have when someone does put that onus of a doubt on you. It's always great to come back to that person and say, would you recommend me for school? And then show them as you graduate, not just MIT, you also graduated Georgetown University after that. And you started your own the T. Walton group after this. You're showing the whole way that, yeah, he may have misjudged you in the beginning, but now he's probably at home saying, I made him who he is now because I wrote that letter.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yes, Richard. That is, and I hope that is the perspective that he has. He made a difference in his own way, and we both grew from it. I grew to rise above it, and he grew to never doubt. It's the simple little things like never saying it's impossible, or I can't do that. Always believing with the mindset that anything is possible and I can do that. Never say never. That's one of the powerful lessons that came out of that experience. And I always encourage, younger minds or older minds to also have that mindset. Never say never.
And you're never too old to change your mindset from a negative mindset to a positive mindset. And sometimes you wind up in a tunnel with thinking that you can't do something because maybe you failed a couple times. And if you think if you try again, you might fall again. But if you keep thinking that you can do it, you judge by how many times you get up, not by how many times you fall. So if you succeed that last time you stepped up, then you're a success.
You hit the nail on the head there, Richard. That is pretty powerful, man. It sounds like the words from Tesla himself.
Yeah, he's sitting next to me here.
Absolutely, man. The reason why I say that is, my number one, favorite quote from Tesla himself was, even though he made 1 million errors, he said he has never failed. He's always found 1 million ways it won't work.
Exactly.
So it's flipping the switch there, or flipping the perspective is very important.
So you mentioned your book. Why don't you talk a little bit about your book now?
Great. Yeah, man. I the first thing I'll say here, Richard, is why did I write this book? So the title of the book is Secrets from MIT Tennis and the Umpire Buff. And why I wrote this book was, I'm looking at reality, I'm looking at society, and if someone is not grounded in timeless beliefs, timeless morals and principles that have shaped society, if you're not grounded with those perspectives, it's a very confusing world. It may seem as if you're lost in this crazy, chaotic world. And that was the number one reason or root driver for writing this book. It was realizing the continuous misguided content that youths see today. They're on their smartphones, they're on social media, they're oftentimes they're in a fake world. They're in a world where beauty is defined by modifications on an iPhone screen, or Adobe or whatever tool that they use, but their definition of beauty can be so miscrewed or confusing. And I wanted to give my personal, honest perspective of what I've seen to shape the lives of great thinkers, great leaders, great artists who've shaped this earth. And, this is not from just my experience, but throughout that journey growing up in Jamaica to going to MIT, one of my favorite things to do, Richard, was reading. And I think I got that from my mother's side. And the reason why I say that was the main books that I chose to read were nonfiction. They were true life stories. So, today I looked at the news and I saw the unfortunate passing of Colin Powell. And the reason why I say that is, one, he is a first generation American from Jamaican parents. So, that's the connection there. But number two, his book on leadership was one of the first books that I ever read around leadership. So I shared all of that to explain that throughout my entire development, I've read autobiographies, non-fictional work on what it took for people to do amazing things in society. And I wanted to give my perspective on how important those life lessons are in today's reality. So, when we think of the foundation of the book, it's 10 lessons from a poor Jamaican boy who never gave up on the court. 10 life lessons that are synonymous across, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're in the working world, whether you're on the sporting field. These life lessons are all synonymous. And here are the top 10 guiding principles that have helped me, that have helped Colin Powell, that have helped Nelson Mandela, all of the brilliant individuals, Martin Luther King. And I wanted to kind of re-highlight those principles as the most important things today. Not the social media, not smartphones, not taking selfies and, doing all of these blushes and, I don't even know what we call them all the time, but filters, yeah. Not doing all these filters on them, but going back to the good old fundamental principles that have shaped society over the past thousands of years. And that's the principle of the book.
That's outstanding. Thanks for sharing that with us. And General Powell is a mentor of mine from beyond, from above. He was a general in the Army while I was still in the Army, and then, of course, became Secretary of State. Mm-hmm. Brilliant man, and I guided myself through his 13 rules of leadership, much like you reading his book on leadership. His 13 rules is probably the best 13 rules you'll see for leadership, and if anyone needs to look that up, it's all over Google now, of course, because he untimely passed today. We lost a great man today, but those 13 rules will lead you to victory.
Absolutely there, Richard. And the first time I heard about his book, I was interning in Washington, D.C., as a sophomore in college at MIT. And I was at the State Department just listening to these great leaders at the time. And the person who was giving us, a talk to all of the interns, myself and other students from MIT, from George Washington University, he referenced that book, the 13 leadership principles from Colin Powell. And I'm like, wow, I've heard of Colin Powell. I knew he was connected to Jamaica, but I didn't know his story at the time. So I remember I went home that very evening after that internship panel discussion, and I purchased his book. And it's those kinds of experience that I try to bubble up into one summary and share in my own words as a Jamaican man, but also growing up as a poor Jamaican boy.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I'll use your phrase there. You hit the nail on the head with that book, and using all the knowledge that you gained through your life, thanks to your mom and her side of being the educators and having you read and learn things without having a tablet in front of you. And that, I think, like you said, our youth today are getting, I guess, mushroom heads or sponge heads with just having everything in front of them on a 3x5 screen all the time, never looking up. And I'm sure you up there in the Northeast, if you walk down the street, you probably have to dodge people all the time, so never looking up.
We see it all the time, Richard. That is a powerful way of explaining it, and that is the main reason why I chose to write this book. It's not sustainable with the trends that we're seeing, because you can, if you don't look outside of that smartphone and see the beauty of life, you're going to be crippled, because you will only have a limited perspective on what is being fed from that screen. Some of it is true, some of it is, influenced by the content writer, but ultimately, if you're not looking up from that screen, as you said, that mushroom head is going to be a cripple, because you can't see beyond and see the beauty in the trees and see the beauty of, what causes the wind to move the trees and see the connections in life. It's a very intertwined thing that's called life. But if we're not living it, and if we're in a smartphone, in a virtual reality, it's a sad reality. That's my opinion on virtual reality.
It definitely is, and that's the sad state that we're pushing our youth into now, because they have to do it in order to get likes and find their quote friends that they think they have. And I think we were saved by you having a great background in your family to push you to read and challenge yourself and push yourself to get an MIT, get that degree, and then go to Georgetown, get that degree. Work with the Clark group, work with Emerson, and then start the T. Walton group. So I think you've had a great path for success.
I appreciate that there, Richard. And, I just want to say, these kinds of programs, the Misfit Nation, it's very powerful, because it's sharing the message of these important stories that may not be the popular clicked ones on social media, but it still provides that avenue to share the truth and share the important message that will help individuals to be their best selves, to achieve their greatest dreams. It's to achieve your dreams. It's not getting clicks. It's not getting likes and social media. It's understanding these 10 principles, and most importantly, making a difference in someone else's life.
Exactly. Even if it's just one person reads your book or listens to my podcast, it makes a difference in their life or that day of their life, then it is a success at that point. Beautifully said there, Richard. So, Tarick, if someone wants to get in contact with you or work with the T. Walton group, how would they do that?
So, wonderful question there, Richard. So, our nonprofit arm within the T. Walton group is called the Walton and Friends Foundation. And these, a group of friends of mine from business school, from different walks of life, we've come together to provide opportunities to youths to build on what we just talked about. We've all participated in promoting or developing this first mentorship book, and we're continuing to work with nonprofits, with schools, to make that difference. And our ultimate focus is science and the arts. It's that balance that we talked about. For anyone who wants to participate, there are 3 ways. Number 1, go out and purchase a copy of the book. You can purchase it for yourself, which I hope you will read, but also you can purchase it for somebody else, for a young mind, for someone with a dream that you can see that they're passionate about. This book is intended for that person, which is literally everyone. The second way of being involved is to donate to our nonprofit organization. If you go to twaltongroup.com/foundation, you will get all of the information on how you can become more and more involved, whether it's through donations, etc. And the third, and I think this is equally important, is making that connection. To make a difference in life, it's never done by just one individual or one group. It's a connection amongst multiple individuals. So we pride ourselves on partnering with nonprofits, partnering with businesses that are corporate socially minded, corporate social responsibly minded, and everyone participating within the community. So those are the 3 ways that I would say. Visit us online, twaltongroup.com/foundation, purchase a copy of the book, or donate, or make that connection within, whether it's a corporation or whether it's a nonprofit who can help to be a part of the solution. Those are the 3 ways to be involved.
Outstanding, Tarick. Thanks for sharing that with us. And of course, thanks for taking your time to come on to the Misfit Nation today. I'd like to have you on again in the future to see where you've gone with the foundation. And of course, with the rest of your things you're doing, you have a lot of things going on in your life, not just the foundation or the group. So we can talk about that next time.
Absolutely there, Richard. This was beyond a pleasure. The conversation, it was down to earth, and it was real. And it's so amazing, that we have the Hoya Saxa connection as well. This was a small world, but that's my mindset, living every day as though it's a miracle all around. And I think that's a perfect example that we connected. We were meant to be connected. It was a miracle.
And our interview is on today, the day we lost Colin Powell, who also is from the great island of Jamaica as well.
And continue to inspire us, throughout his legacy. Absolutely.
Definitely. So, Tarick, you have a good day, and I'll be chatting with you in the future.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it here, Rich.
That was a great chat with Tarick. Be sure to get involved with the T. Walton Group Foundation and continue to inspire others. Also, be sure to grab a copy of his book, Secrets from MIT, Tennis, and the Umpire Above. Hoya Saxa. We'll see you in the future. Yesterday we lost a true leader, a great man, a patriot, and a downright amazing human. I challenge you to live your life by his simple rules. Some of you know him as Secretary, others know him as General, but we all know him as Colin Powell, and here are his 13 rules. Number 1, it ain't as bad as you think. It will look better in the morning. 2, get mad, then get over it. 3, avoid having your ego so close to your position that when your position falls, your ego goes with it. 4, it can be done. 5, be careful what you choose. You may just get it. 6, don't let adverse facts stand in the way of a good decision. 7, you can't make someone else's choices. You shouldn't let someone else make yours. 8, check the small things. 9, share credit. 10, remain calm, be kind. 11, have a vision, be demanding. 12, don't take counsel of your fears or naysayers. And 13, perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. Your legacy will continue, sir. We got the watch now. So you know how we do this. Thanks for taking some of your time to spend with us on the Misfit Nation. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and share the link as much as possible. If you want to, please become a supporter to help us carry this thing on. We appreciate you. If you know someone that would bring energy and a great story to the show, have them visit our website at themisfitnation.com and reach out to us. As always, till next time, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are the Misfit Nation.